chapters 9 and 10. Chapter 9, The Gong. Lewis, the yard teacher, was filling a green ball with air when the cloud of doom cast its gloomy shadow over the schoolyard. He felt an eerie chill as he pushed down on his air pump. Suddenly, there was a loud bang, and the next thing Lewis knew, he was lying on the blacktop. He slowly sat up. He wiggled his fingers, he stuck out his tongue, and moved it from side to side. He seemed to be okay. He stood up, still a little wobbly. Bits of green rubber were scattered across the playground. His air pump was on the other side of the dodgeball circle. The ball must have exploded from too much air, he realized. He always tried to put the maximum amount of air into each ball. The kids liked them bouncy. The bouncier, the better. He picked up a piece of green rubber, then another and another. There already weren't enough balls to go around. The school couldn't afford to lose another one. We'd have to sew it back together. In the end, he found 73 pieces. It was unusually dark for this time of day. He hoped he hadn't missed any. The gong, he remembered. He hurried to the principal's office, stuffing cotton balls into his ears as he ran. "You're late, Lewis," said Mr. Kidswatter, but Lewis couldn't hear him. He wheeled the giant gong out of the office to the bottom of the stairs. At one time, the gong had been bright and shiny, but that was before Lewis's time. Now it was dull and heavily dented. A large mallet, also made of iron, hung from a hook bolted to the gong's wood frame. Lewis unhooked it and then took a couple steps backward to steady himself. The mallet was heavy, even for someone as strong as the yard teacher. He handed it to Mr. Kidswatter, who easily raised it over his shoulder. Mr. Kidswatter had thick arms, a thick neck, and a thick head. Lewis started the countdown. 10, 9, 8. There was a red dot in the center of the gong. On the count of 1, Mr. Kidswatter swung the mallet and hit it dead center. Gong! Despite the cotton balls, the sound rattled inside Lewis's head and echoed up and down the stairs. Lewis took the mallet from Mr. Kidswatter and hung it back on its hook. He wheeled the gong off to the side just before a river of children flooded down the stairs. "Hi, Lewis. Bye, Lewis. See you tomorrow, Lewis," they called him as he ran by. He smiled and waved, but all he heard was gong. "Why don't they ever say those things to me?" Mr. Kidswatter asked a little while later as they were leaving the school together. "Maybe if you did something nice," Lewis suggested. "Like what?" asked the principal. "Maybe let a kid ring the gong." "No way," snapped Mr. Kidswatter. "That's the best part about being principal." "Or how about getting some more balls for recess?" Lewis suggested. "Too expensive," said Mr. Kidswatter. "What if I pay for them?" asked Lewis. Mr. Kidswatter laughed. "You? Where would you get that kind of money? Did you rob a bank?" "I have money," said Lewis. "I've written some books about Wayside School." "And you got paid for that?" Mr. Kidswatter asked. Lewis shrugged. Mr. Kidswatter frowned. Lewis hoped he hadn't broken the law. "Do you mention me in the books?" asked Mr. Kidswatter. "Maybe once or twice," Lewis admitted. "You don't say anything bad about me, do you?" Said Lewis. "You should write a chapter about me," declared Mr. Kidswatter. "Call it The Best Principal Ever, with 3 exclamation points. First, you would have to do something that makes you the best principal ever," Lewis explained. "Like what?" "Let a kid ring the gong." This time, Mr. Kidswatter didn't snap at Lewis. He was thinking about it. Lewis looked up at the gloomy cloud. He hadn't paid much attention to science, but back when he was going to school, he didn't know it was a cloud of doom. Had he known, he never would have made such a dangerous suggestion to Mr. Kidswatter. Chapter 10, Stuck. Everybody has a special talent. Bibi can draw, Joe can stand on his head and sing jingle bells, but this story isn't about Bibi or Joe, it's about Dana. Dana can make funny faces. Just by puffing out one cheek and raising the opposite eyebrow, she can make Jenny and Leslie crack up every time. Or there's the one she calls her goofball face. She puts her glasses on upside down, then she pulls down one corner of her mouth with her pinky finger, while with her other hand she tugs her earlobe. When Damien and Myron saw that one, they laughed so hard they bumped heads. Even Mr. Jules laughs at Dana's funny faces. But you need to be careful, Dana, she warned. You don't want your face to get stuck that way. Dana wasn't worried about that. No matter how weirdly she stretched it, her face always bounced back. But that was before the cloud of doom settled over the school. It had been there a week now. Even as other clouds drifted past, each day it seemed to grow a little bit larger. Dana and Leslie were on the playground waiting for Jenny. It was recess and Jenny went to get Patches from Louis. Patches was the ball that Louis had blown up in more ways than one. Louis never found all the pieces and had to cut up an old yellow raincoat to fill the gaps. Jenny, Leslie, and Dana liked Patches the best because it was impossible to predict which way it would bounce. "Hey, Dana, there's a giant worm on your foot," said John. Dana looked down at her sneaker. "Made you look," John exclaimed. He and Joe laughed. So she looked at her foot," asked Leslie. "What's wrong with that?" "There wasn't even a worm," explained Joe. Dana felt like a big doofus. Why did she always fall for John's tricks? She made her doofus face. She closed her right eye, raised her left eyebrow, puffed out her right cheek, and stuck out her tongue. When John looked at it, he suddenly felt like a big doofus. "Sorry," he muttered. "It was just a dumb joke." He hung his head and walked away. Joe followed. Dana felt sad for John. She hadn't meant to call him a doofus. She had just wanted to make him laugh. She liked it when John teased her. Jenny returned with Patches. "You missed it," said Leslie. "Dana got back at John good." Jenny turned to Dana. "Why are you calling me a doofus?" she asked. Dana didn't realize she was still wearing her doofus face. She tried to pull her tongue back in, but it wouldn't budge. Her cheek wouldn't unpuff. Her right eye remained shut, and her left eyebrow stayed up. "That's not nice," said Jenny. Said Dana. "Oh my gosh," exclaimed Leslie. "Is your face stuck?" Dana nodded. Her doofus face moved up and down. "So you're not doing it on purpose?" asked Jenny. Her doofus face turned right, then left. "It's the cloud of doom!" exclaimed Jenny. Leslie covered her mouth with her hand. The three girls looked up at the dark and swirling cloud. "I'll get Louis," Leslie said and hurried away. She returned with the art teacher a short while later. Louis laughed when he saw Dana. "It's her doofus face," said Jenny. "It's a good one," said Louis. I like it even better than your goofball face." "But now her face was stuck that way," said Leslie. Louis thought for a moment and then blew his whistle real loud. Leslie and Jenny covered their ears. Dana's face remained stuck. Louis didn't really expect it to work. He just liked blowing his whistle. Kids from all over the playground came running at the sound of it. "What's up, Louis?" said Todd. "Dana's face is stuck," Jenny explained. "Really?" asked Todd. He poked Dana's puffed cheek out. It was like poking a rock. Mr. Kidswatter also heard the whistle. "Out of my way! Let me through!" he ordered as he made his way to Louis and Dana. "What's going on here?" he demanded. He looked at Dana. Dana looked back at Mr. Kidswatter. Their eyes locked. It became a staring contest. Everyone wondered who would blink first, but Dana couldn't blink. Finally, Mr. Kidswatter turned away. Cute kid," he said, and patted Dana on the head. He headed back to the building. Dana's face instantly popped back into place. "Your face is fixed!" exclaimed Jenny. Dana smiled, but then she made her face return to just plain normal. She didn't want her smile to get stuck. Even that could be unpleasant. As long as they were under the cloud of doom, she would have to be very careful with her facial expressions. Mr. Kidswatter walked quickly back to his office. He shut the door behind him. He was sticking out his tongue. His left eye was shut tight. His right eyebrow was raised, and his left cheek was all puffed out.